There is a voice inside you that the world has tried to silence, not out of malice, but out of fear. Because when a man or woman becomes fully awake to the power within them, when they stop chasing validation, when they no longer seek permission, when they understand the fire they carry was never meant to be extinguished, they become unshakable. But most never arrive there. They spend their lives reacting to circumstances, to opinions, to fear disguised as logic, and to rules written by people who gave up on their dreams long ago. The greatest war you will ever fight will not be out there. It will be in here, in the mind, in the soul, in the dark corners where doubt hides and whispers, "Who do you think you are?" But hear me now. You were not born average. You were not born to blend in. You were born to rise and to master your inner world so completely that no force on earth can bend your will. That is your birthright. But power, true power, is never given. It must be claimed. And that begins not with action, but with awareness. Mindset. Everything begins in the mind. Not some things, everything. Edison didn't invent the light bulb in a lab. He invented it in his imagination. Ford didn't build the Model T with his hands. He built it with a belief no one else could see. Understand this. Your thoughts are architects. Every thought you repeat is a brick. Every belief you cling to is mortar, and the life you live, that's the house you built, whether by design or default. So what are you building? Are you reinforcing a fortress of strength, discipline, and unstoppable vision, or are you letting old fears, worn-out doubts, and second-hand opinions pour concrete over your potential? Because make no mistake, your mind is a tool, and it will obey you. But if you let it run on autopilot, it becomes a weapon aimed straight at your own purpose. The world will tell you what to think. Social media will feed you comparison. School may train you to memorize, but not to think. Friends and family, even with good intentions, may plant limits on your sky. But it is your duty to protect your mind like a sacred garden. Guard what you allow in, nurture what you want to grow, and rip out the weeds fast without apology. Belief. Belief is not a soft word. It is not optimism, and it is not wishful thinking. Belief is the oxygen of achievement. Napoleon Hill said it. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, it can achieve. But people forget the middle part, believe. Because if you do not believe, it doesn't matter what you want. Desire without belief is a flame with no fuel. It flickers, looks beautiful, then dies. Look at every man or woman who built an empire from nothing. They were not the smartest, not the most connected, not the most qualified, but they believed against logic, against statistics, against critics. They built their certainty brick by brick until the world had no choice but to watch them rise. You must build belief the same way, not in a shallow, loud, arrogant way, but in a quiet, unshakable knowing, I will not be stopped. I do not need a map because I have a compass, and it points forward. Clarity. But power without clarity is a loaded weapon with no target. You must know what you want, not vaguely, not success, not happiness. Those are clouds. You need mountains, specific, defined, clear, because if you don't define your path, someone else will hand you theirs. And most people are walking roads paved in regret. Clarity is not found. It is forged. It comes in the silence, in solitude, in the moments you disconnect from noise and ask yourself, not the world, what burns in me that I have ignored? What vision wakes me up at night and dares me to become more? Write it, speak it, see it, again and again until it becomes a part of your identity. Walt Disney saw an empire of imagination when others saw empty swampland. Clarity is vision plus courage. And once you see it clearly, it begins to move toward you. But you must be all in. No backup plans, no hedging, burn the boats. Because a man with clarity and no retreat becomes a force of nature, vision. The vision must be bigger than the fear. That's the secret. If your dream doesn't scare you, it's not your dream. It's your comfort zone in disguise. A powerful vision pulls you forward like gravity. It gives meaning to sacrifice. It makes the grind feel holy. And in a world addicted to comfort, you must become addicted to vision. See it in detail. See it when it's dark. See it when no one claps. See it when nothing's working. Because the clearer you see it, The more your mind will rearrange your actions to make it real. That's not fantasy. That's how humans work. Your subconscious does not know the difference between imagined reality and lived experience. So when you train it to believe the vision, it begins bending the universe toward your intent, purpose. But even vision without purpose will fade. Purpose is the why behind the what. It's the voice that whispers, keep going, when logic says stop. It's the difference between achievement and fulfillment. And the world will sell you distractions. It will promise pleasure. It will reward short-term wins. But purpose plays the long game. Purpose doesn't yell. It anchors. Lincoln had purpose when he held a nation together through war and doubt. Martin Luther King had purpose when he spoke with fire in his voice and peace in his hands. Their purpose wasn't self-centered. It was legacy-centered, and that's the test. If your purpose ends with you, it will collapse. But if it lifts others, inspires generations, wakes up the sleeping lions around you, then you've found a source of power no storm can touch. Discipline. Now let's speak the word most people run from. Discipline. Not the kind taught through punishment, not rigid rules or cold routines. I'm talking about sacred self-imposed discipline. The discipline of a warrior. The inner code of someone who refuses to let temporary emotions sabotage eternal goals. Discipline is the bridge between vision and reality. Without it, dreams rot. With it, mountains move. Carnegie did not build an empire on motivation. He built it on discipline. Motivation fades. Discipline endures. You don't feel like showing up? Good. Show up anyway. You don't feel like pushing harder? Push harder anyway. Because every time you do what must be done instead of what you feel like doing, you are feeding the identity of a champion. Your body listens, your mind watches, your spirit takes notes, and eventually you become the kind of person who doesn't negotiate with excuses. Think of the sculptor. They don't strike the stone once and expect a masterpiece. They strike again and again, without applause, without results, until form emerges from formlessness. That's discipline. Repetition with intention. Commitment without emotion. Sacrifice without resentment. You can't become powerful if you live like a slave to comfort. You must choose what's hard now, so life becomes easier later. Action. The world doesn't reward intention. It rewards execution. You can meditate. You can visualize. You can plan until your whiteboard glows with genius, but nothing changes until you act. Ideas are nothing without momentum. Tesla had 1,000 ideas, but it was his action that changed the world. Every visionary faced the same wall, resistance, and they punched through it not with more thoughts, but with relentless action. Stop waiting. Stop overthinking. Stop rehearsing the perfect move while the game passes you by. Success doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who move. While others scroll, you work. While others sleep, you grind. While others fear the unknown, you step into it. And yes, you will stumble, you will fail, but failure is not the opposite of success. It is the tuition you pay to enter the arena of greatness. Every action you take is a vote for the future you want. So cast votes daily. Make the small choices that align with the giant destiny. That's how giants are made, one step at a time, no matter how small. Gratitude. But let me say something that may surprise you. You can be fierce and grateful. You can be hungry and content. This is not about blind ambition. It's about conscious power. Gratitude is not weakness. It's strength. It is the mindset of someone who chooses to see power in every moment. Because even your worst day is someone else's dream. Even your smallest progress is proof you're not who you used to be. Gratitude sharpens your vision. It brings you back to the present, where all real power lives. It protects you from entitlement, the poison of the ego. It grounds you, centers you, aligns you with a deeper intelligence than hustle alone. The Stoics knew this. They practiced gratitude even in pain, because they understood nothing is promised. So each breath, each moment, each lesson, each challenge becomes a gift. Speak your gratitude, write it, feel it, and let it fuel your drive, not slow it, because a grateful warrior becomes unstoppable. They no longer need success to feel worthy. And ironically, that's when success multiplies. Adaptability. But what happens when the plan fails? When the map no longer fits the territory? When life throws the punch you didn't see coming, and then you adapt? True power is not rigidity, it is fluidity. It is the ability to pivot without panic, to shift without losing direction, to change your strategy but not your standard. Every great figure in history adapted. Lincoln rewrote his political path more than once. Disney faced financial ruin and started again, stronger. Even the greatest generals lost battles, but never the war. Adaptability is not weakness, it is wisdom. It says, I am not married to comfort. I am committed to outcome. When the winds change, don't curse the storm. Learn to sail. The rigid tree breaks. The flexible one bends and lives. Adaptability requires ego death. And it demands that you let go of being right so you can become effective. You don't need to know everything. You just need to be humble enough to grow and brave enough to change. Resilience. Now listen closely, because this is where most people break. Not because they weren't talented. Not because they didn't want it badly enough, but because they mistook the storm for the end, when it was really the beginning. Resilience is the soul's armor. It's not about bouncing back. It's about rising different, stronger, wiser, more dangerous to your limitations. You will be hit. Life will test you. Dreams will stretch you until you think you'll snap, but you won't. Because inside you, there is something no failure can touch. That is your will. Henry Ford went broke 5 times before success finally saluted him. Colonel Sanders was rejected over 1,000 times before someone tasted his vision. These men didn't have secret strategies. They had iron in their spirit. You must decide right now that nothing will break you. You will bend, but not break. Cry, but not quit. Feel fear, but act anyway, because resilience is not about pretending you're unshakable. It's about refusing to stay down. Each setback carves depth into your character. Each loss builds a reserve of wisdom success could never teach you. And every time you get back up, you send a message to the universe. I am not done. I am not finished. I will not disappear. And the world listens, and the world watches, and eventually the world moves. Learning. If resilience is the armor, then learning is the sword. You cannot conquer what you do not understand. You cannot master a game if you refuse to study it. The most powerful people on earth, they are students first. Curious, humble, willing to be wrong, because they know, the more they realize they don't know. Andrew Carnegie built an empire, yes, but he also surrounded himself with minds sharper than his own. He wasn't afraid of brilliance, he recruited it. Because true leaders don't need to be the smartest in the room. They just need to value the truth more than their pride. You must learn like your life depends on it, because it does. Not just school learning, life learning. Learn from failure. Learn from people you disagree with. Learn from silence, from pain, from patterns. Make books your allies, make mentors your mirrors, make mistakes your teachers. Ignorance in this age is a choice. You have access to the wisdom of centuries. So drink deeply. Upgrade your mind like your future depends on it, because it does. Every hour spent learning compresses time. It accelerates you past those still waiting for someone to show them the way. Don't wait. Learn, grow, and become. Identity. But in the end, all of this comes down to one thing. Who do you believe you are? Identity is the thermostat of your life. You will never outperform your self-image. You may sprint, you may surge, but eventually you will return to the setting you believe you deserve. If deep down you believe you're average, you will sabotage greatness. And if you believe success is for others, you will unconsciously reject every opportunity that comes your way. So you must rewire who you think you are. Not in theory, not with affirmations alone, but with evidence. Do the hard things. Keep promises to yourself. Stack wins, tiny ones daily. And slowly, powerfully, you start to believe, this is who I am now. That is how transformation happens, not in lightning bolts, in repetition, not in hype, in habits. You are not your past. You are not your pain. You are not your failures or your family history. You are what you decide to become, starting right now. Rewrite the story, build the identity, and the results will follow like shadows. Destiny. Because when identity aligns with vision and action aligns with purpose, you stop chasing success. You start attracting it, not by chance, by alignment, by becoming the kind of person who belongs where you're going. Destiny isn't found, it's forged. One disciplined day at a time, one choice at a time, one bold decision at a time. You are not here to live on autopilot. You are not here to blend in. You are not here to bow to mediocrity. You are here to master your inner power, to rise, to lead, to walk into every room knowing you built yourself. This is the moment, not tomorrow, not someday. Now take the pain, the doubt, the fear, and transmute them into fire. Let them fuel you. Let them sharpen you. Let them ignite the real you. Because the world doesn't need more followers. It needs warriors of purpose, leaders of light. Men and women who refuse to die with their greatness still locked inside them. So wake up, stand up, and walk like a force of nature, because that's what you are. This is your time, and this is your calling. This is your power. Now go master it.